Okay, to kick it off, this is the starter that started it all, pun intended. This is my boy Charizard. Now, honestly, when I first picked Charmander, I was actually very happy, but I was actually kind of pissed off because throughout the first 6 battles we had, we lost at least 5 of them. And I was actually very pissed off about that at first, and I was actually debating on whether or not to just restart my game and just give up. Until Charmander came out of nowhere and won our first gym badge, and then from that point forward, Charizard and I just became a team. Charizard helped me grow through the entire region before finally evolving into Charizard right after I hit my 4th gym. So Charizard finally at the end of the entire game ended at level 79. Okay, now check this out. He knew Fly, Mega Punch, Earthquake, and Flamethrower, and ended at level 83. Now, even though Charizard was my very first Pokemon, and admittedly we started off with a rough patch, there is nothing more that I appreciated that my Charizard's flames were burning brighter than ever. Next, we got my boy Nidoking. Now, Nidoking, unlike most people from Generation 1 who particularly caught their first starter before the first gym, Nidoran Male was actually my first Pokemon because when I first started playing Pokemon Pokemon Red, I genuinely was very confused with what I was doing at first. And then I caught this Nidoran that was actually stronger than my Charmander at the time. So from that point, I caught Nidoran. Nidoran knew what, by the time we got to the first gym, had managed to be one of my strongest Pokemon of that current time. And with him and Charmander together, we were tearing it apart. And then on top of all that, Nidoking and Charizard evolved alongside each other. So they were basically Poke Brothers. That was the best part. And finally, when we went to the Pokemon League and won, Nidoking stood at exactly level 79 with Double Kick, Ice Beam, Feature, and Rock Slide. So Nidoking and Charizard together were the first 2 powerhouses I actually had on my team before I even managed to get through the first 5 gyms. And right around the time Charizard evolved is right around the time that I made Nidoking evolve. So it was basically, those 2 were the perfect combination for each other. Now we got my man Primate. Now Primate, goddamn, Primate was my only fighting type Pokemon that I kept in my main roster, considering that throughout the entire region up to Saffron City, which was about the time where I think Primate was at level 45 or something like that, something in between level 37 and 45. And when I got the opportunity to keep Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan, honestly, I was debating on rotating Hitmonchan for Primate, but I realized that Primate became really a powerhouse, considering that just like Nidoran, I actually caught both Primate and Nidoran side by side. So, relatively speaking, even though Mankey at the time did not know any fighting type moves until after I got to the first gym, and by that I mean it took me to get my ass kicked by Brock at least 3 or 4 times for me to actually, train Mankey properly, learn a fighting type move, and then, alongside Nidoking, Nidoran at the time, to legit kick ass. But in all honesty, Primate became a legit powerhouse because even though Nidoking could not learn fighting type moves like that, and I really didn't have the TMs to keep teaching them back and forth, Primate actually managed to learn fighting type moves on his own, which actually made me keep him on the roster even that much longer. And even though when we was going through the Elite Four and I kept trying to, repeat, even though throughout the first 2 Elite Four, Primate kept getting his ass kicked, Primate still managed to be a proper powerhouse, and even going on to be level 79 after, beating the Elite Four. So after learning Focus Energy, Seismic Toss, Mega Kick, and to top it all off with Thunder, an electric type move at the time, that right there made my Primate by far, the most, ideally, in my case, the ideal balanced defensive and balanced defense and balanced attack Pokemon I had at the time, especially for a fighting type at that point. Now we have my fourth Pokemon. Now, Pidgeot, for real, I was debating on catching it when it was a Pidgeotto, which ironically I did catch it as a Pidgeotto. And truthfully, I was kind of just trying to keep it Charizard flying type, but, you know, to each his own. Now, Pidgeot, much like Charizard and I in the very beginning, was on a very high losing ratio. Like, the first match I used it in, it lost horribly. Like, literally, every time I came back, it just like, fuck it. But, I will say this much. Pidgeot managed to become a decent Pokemon even after I met it on Route 22. Now, the fact that it ended up being level 77, I'm sorry, with Quick Attack, Sky Attack, Double Edge, and Double Team as it's basically its whole setup for the whole time, I kind of feel like I want to see if I can ride Pidgeot in Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, because I really would love to relive those memories of having that Pidgeot again, only this time be able to ride that bird, you feel me? So, you know, Pidgeot, still a good team member. I was glad to have had it. So now we're getting into it. My first ancient Pokemon, Kabutops. Now Kabutops, of course, everybody knows, regardless of whether you're playing red, blue, or yellow, you get either Ammonite or Kabuto in the earliest parts of the game. Now, even though you can't revive none of that shit till later, truthfully, Kabutops was actually one of the weakest. I take that back. Was the weakest Pokemon on my team. Even though we did have a decent winning ratio, you know, up until the point of it evolving, Kabutops was my first water type Pokemon out of my entire team, and above all else, my second rock type Pokemon. Now, even though we didn't get too far together, him and I, during the Elite Four and the Champion, Kabutops still did manage to become a pretty decent member of the family, and even rounding off to get to level 76 during the Elite Four and Champion matches, and going on to learn Surf, Slash, Absorb, and Hyper Pump. Kabutops did serve as more so the younger sibling of the group, for real. And even though it was my weakest Pokemon by level, in terms of stats and attack power, it definitely had its power points. And that much I will give Kabutops if any of you want to use Kabutops in Let's Go Eevee Pikachu. And we have my sixth and final Pokemon. Now, I'm going to go ahead and keep it a buck. I did not catch Onix until the near end of the game. Okay? Now, this Onix in particular whooped almost all of my Pokemon's ass. You know, I won't even lie. I will not hold you. I will not even try to begin by even telling you how frustrating catching this one particular Onix was. Now, mind you, I managed to get it down to, I would say, half HP. And that was almost after it took out 4 out of my 5 Pokemon. So, mind you, it destroyed Charizard. It knocked down Pidgeot, Primeape. Shit, even Nidoking was having a problem. And Kabutops stood no chance. So finally, right as it tried to beat Nidoking, literally both of them have half HP. There's really no point of even trying to convince either one of them that this is not going to how this is going to end. Onix gave in. Caught Onix with a great ball, was done with it. caught Onyx right there at Victory Road. And finally, when I decided that this Onyx was worth taking to the Elite Four and the champion, finally, had to grind a little bit, got it at level 75 in the Rage, Strength, Skull Bash, and Explosion. Because its original lineup of attacks, I honestly did not like it. I didn't like it. It had Skull Bash, it had Rock Throw and Rock Slide, and it had Explosion. So I was going to keep, Skull Bash and Explosion, but the other two, they needed to go. But, Onyx served its purpose when it came to being the wall of my KANTO team. I'm not even going to lie about that. And when push came to shove, Onyx proved that, Onyx was about that life. I ain't gonna lie about it. Alright guys, that is my KANTO team for Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Now, honestly, I'm hoping that the lineup that I have for KANTO will change during Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. But give me your thoughts on what you think of my KANTO team. And if you give me enough views and enough likes, I'll do the next region. Because my original plan was to talk about all 7 regions and to then do a prediction video of how Generation 8 will go about.